Rip, guys.
When you play Hell Let Loose, you might have noticed that most people run straight for the enemy objective in order to capture it. And why wouldn't they? This is what usually is the goal in similar games. Since the influx of many new players because of the Battle Pass access, I decided I'd make a couple of videos explaining the mechanics of the game. Today, let's talk about defending and why it's underrated, as in my opinion it's one of the most fun ways to play the game. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date with new videos about Hell Let Loose, so you can learn something new, enjoy some tactical gameplay, or get some information about new game updates. Also, a mandatory announcement: play this game with a mic. It makes the game more fun and you'll need it to play effectively until you understand all of the mechanics, and even then it's still better. So there's a couple of common problems for new players when they start playing Hell Let Loose. I think the main one is that the game is very chaotic and it's very hard to find enemies. I mean, the maps are very big, everyone seems to be going somewhere, and if you don't have a squad leader, it's very hard to actually find out what to do. You get shot from all different locations, maybe across a field, from a hedge, from a pixel somewhere in the middle of nowhere. You just don't know what's going on. And I think that is pretty hard if you start playing the game.
Bloody hell.
They're on the Gary, camping the Gary.
He got me. He's near my buddy. Towards the north.
So one of the things you can do to actually make the game less chaotic is defending. But as an individual player, it's kind of hard to decide what to do because you're kind of dependent on your squad. So the first thing you gotta do is actually find a squad leader that communicates, so you actually have something to do. But since in the current state of the game there's not enough squad leaders, I'd recommend actually doing it yourself. I actually made a video recently that explained how to start squad leading in an easy way. I recommend checking that out for a bit, but you cannot do much without a squad leader, so if you can't find any, you should do it yourself. So I recommend actually going for defense if you start squad leading and also if you start playing the game, because it makes the game a lot less chaotic. You can actually see where the enemy is coming from, you have clear objectives, you're not located between the enemy and your own objective in that kind of clusterfuckery meat grinder, as we call it. So it also happens less that you just get shot over and over from an unknown location. So in this video I'll just give you some tips on how to defend and how it actually works, because it's not as obvious as it seems. Many players think that actually you have to cap objectives from that circle that you see in the map, but that's actually not the case. In the normal warfare mode you can actually capture objectives from the 4 sectors, the 2x2 grid around the circle. So as long as you stay within that area you can actually cap objectives, also defend objectives, and the thing is the circle can be used but you get an increased cap strength if you stay in there, but it's not necessary for actually capping objectives. So when you defend, what you want to do is actually patrol the 4 sectors around that circle in order to deny enemies access to it. And what the enemy will try to do is actually build some garrisons or outposts near these 4 sectors to enter the circle of your team, and by defending you're just trying to deny that. And in practice, many enemy squads will try to flank the objective, so they come from multiple directions. And what you want to do is just deny these squads building spawn points. If they do make spawn points, get rid of these spawn points, and additionally the commander of the enemy team will drop parachutes with for example airheads, which are spawn points for the enemy team, and also supplies, so enemy squad leaders can actually build spawn points where the supplies get dropped. And sometimes they send another parachute and ammo box as a distraction. But what you basically want to do is just look around, see if you see parachutes falling down, see if you see enemies walking in the distance, and then try to deny that. And when you do this, the game becomes a lot easier to understand. And if you just want to try squad leading for the first time, I recommend doing this, because you can actually mark potential enemy OP and garrison locations on the map. You can also mark, for example, where enemy infantry is. So you can kind of practice with the map markers, and what you're doing is a great benefit to the team, because most players, most squads, they just run automatically to the enemy objective, and there should always be at least one defensive squad. And if you do this, you'll greatly benefit your team. So it's very important to think about the 360-degree coverage of your circle and the 4 sectors around it, because flanking is the name of the game. So if you're only looking forward to where the enemy objective or the enemy territory is, they'll most likely get around you, so keep that in mind. it seems many players are kind of worried that defending is boring, but it absolutely isn't, because enemies will come and it usually won't take long. So set yourself up. You can even ask your engineer to build some defenses like bunkers or fortifications and all that stuff. So it can actually, you can make it quite fun for yourself. So I think defending should happen way more. It's very underrated at the moment, especially for new players. It just makes your life a lot easier in the game, and also for beginning squad leaders. So definitely do this stuff. So anyway, do you guys also have defense tips for new players? Let them know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. There's a bunch of guides and narrated gameplay videos on my channel if you'd like to learn more about the game, so feel free to check these out. And thank you for watching, and see you in the next one, guys.